There's a truth most people don't want to admit. The person who wins an argument is rarely the one who's right. It's usually the one who's loudest, the one who's most certain, or the one who simply refuses to doubt themselves. And if you've ever walked away from a debate thinking, "Wait, how did I lose that?" You didn't lose because you were wrong. You lost because you were thinking. The hidden psychological problem. Let's start with something uncomfortable. Intelligence doesn't make you better at arguing. In fact, it often makes you worse. Because intelligent people carry something heavy: doubt. They see multiple sides. They question their own beliefs. They pause. They reconsider. They hesitate. Meanwhile, someone with shallow thinking operates differently. Their mind is simple, clean, certain. They don't explore possibilities. They don't question assumptions. They don't even notice contradictions. And that gives them an unfair advantage. Psychologists call this a cognitive blind spot. The less you know, the more confident you feel. Not because you're smarter, but because you don't see what you're missing. Think about it. If you only understand 10% of a topic, everything feels obvious. But if you understand 70%, you suddenly realize how much you don't know. And that uncertainty slows you down. It makes you careful with your words. It makes you open to being wrong. And in a calm discussion, that's a strength. But in an argument, it's a weakness. Because arguments aren't truth-seeking conversations. They're psychological battles. And the person who feels the most certain usually wins. Not because they're right, but because they never hesitate. The consequences most people don't notice. Here's where it gets dangerous. This dynamic doesn't just affect random debates. It shapes careers, relationships, even entire societies. Think about how often confidence is mistaken for competence. The loudest voice in a meeting gets attention. The most assertive person gets promoted. The one who speaks without hesitation gets believed. And the thoughtful person? They pause. They refine their thoughts. They try to be accurate instead of convincing. And in that pause, they disappear. Over time, something subtle begins to happen. The world starts rewarding certainty over truth. People learn that being right doesn't matter as much as sounding right. So they adapt. They stop questioning. They stop exploring. They stop thinking deeply. Because deep thinking doesn't win arguments. And slowly, without noticing, we build a culture where confidence replaces intelligence, where stubbornness looks like strength, where ignorance wears the mask of clarity. And the most dangerous part? The people who should be leading conversations start staying silent. The awakening. So what do you do with this? Do you become louder, more aggressive, more certain than you actually are? No, because that's not evolution. That's regression. The real shift is deeper than tactics. You have to stop seeing arguments as a game to win. Because the moment you step into that mindset, you've already lost something more valuable than the debate: clarity. Instead, see arguments for what they really are. Not tests of truth, but tests of ego. When someone refuses to listen, when they double down without thinking, when they speak with absolute certainty, you're not witnessing strength. You're witnessing limitation. And once you see that clearly, something changes. You stop trying to defeat them because you realize you're not in the same conversation. One person is exploring reality, the other is defending identity.
And you can't reason someone out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. This is the moment most people miss. The real power is not in winning the argument. It's in recognizing when the argument isn't worth having. The final realization. Here's the paradox. The more you understand the world, the less interested you become in proving people wrong, because you see how fragile certainty really is. You see how easily beliefs are shaped by emotion, fear, and identity. And you realize something unsettling. Everyone thinks they're the rational one, even the person who just won the argument, especially them. So the question changes. It's no longer, how do I win against people who are wrong? It becomes, why do I feel the need to win at all? Because the truth doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to dominate. It doesn't need to humiliate the other side. Truth is patient. And intelligence, real intelligence, is quiet enough to let others be wrong without panic. So the next time you find yourself in an argument, watch closely. Notice who is certain. Notice who is loud. Notice who refuses to question themselves. And then notice yourself. If you feel the urge to prove, to dominate, to win, pause. Because in that moment, you're not defending truth anymore. You're defending your ego. And that's the same game everyone is playing. The difference is, now you can see it. And once you truly see the game, winning it stops mattering. Because the real victory is stepping outside of it.